Hello. I think we did it. We had some pretty fancy.
I think there's a delay.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a delay. There's definitely a delay. So we got a little fancy with our intro video. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Thank you to our friend Zach Sanderson. He is fantastic at that thing. Aaron did ask that. Sorry if I'm doxing him. Nothing at random. But I guess you did it earlier. But so this is Quittin time, and I mean that literally. It's the end of the day and end of a week. Where during winter hours we close at 5 on Saturday and aren't open back again until. I did hear a little buzz. Maybe it was from your phone, but I think it's fine. We're not open again until Wednesday. So you're giving me the evil eye interrupt to my thoughts. What? Anyway, so
I just couldn't say what I was going to say.
Anyway, the concept of this presentation is that we're just being silly and having fun at the end of the work week, which in the winter is only 4 days. You may see Brandon back there. Oh God, I'm not good at this mirrored thing. Beep, 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 beep.
What are you poking on Brandon?
His butt. Because he's facing the other way. It's not my fault. This is sexual harassment on film.
I'm HR.
Is this film? So
you are getting it caught on film. Yes.
So anyway, we run a place. I'm Dylan. This is Nicole. We run this shop that you're seeing a very small part of.
Some of.
Called Throttle Company in Columbus, Ohio.
It's all a green screen in case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, just like when I'm writing. We do YouTubes separately. Well, I guess not separately. On this same channel, Throttle Company, I do some in the loop. I'm constantly trying to get Nicole to do something similar to that, but she has her own channel called Road Warrior. Were you going to say it? We're going to yell?
I was going to say, don't tell me how to live my life.
Okay, I'm sorry. Road Warrior Moto. And anyway, the concept of this one is, how long does it last? It lasts as long as Nicole is drinking. So
is drink no that there's some semantics.
No, I chose my words very precisely.
Originally, the concept was how long it takes me to drink a beer.
I thought it was technically finish a drink, because that doesn't exactly mean it has to be a beer. It doesn't have to be anything specific. Anyway,
but the way you put it was until I stopped drinking.
Yeah,
drinking with an apostrophe.
Because it's quit.
Drinking.
So I specifically said it that way because we actually have a couple beers. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about them. You risked your life today to get these?
There's actually a story here. The last one that I got was just from Aldi, but they were from Wisconsin, which was at least somewhat local in the motorcycle world.
I don't know what that means. Okay.
Wisconsin. That's where the motorcycles come from.
Oh.
It's where they grow them.
I don't think they do.
No. So what I got actually, okay, so short story long. If you know anything about where Throttle Company is located, there is the gas station across the street, and it is one that I will absolutely suggest that you avoid. Sorry to the proprietor of that said establishment.
They don't care.
But you really risk your life going over there.
Yeah.
And I did that for y'all today.
Mm-hmm. I've been there once and I got wrap snacks.
Yeah.
What was it? Lil Baby?
Yes.
Lil Baby wrap snacks.
Who did you think it was?
I thought it was Duh Baby.
Duh
and here's
Baby.
why. I think that's part of Lil Baby's marketing.
And they are not the same.
No, because Duh Baby's colors are like that.
You know their colors?
No, his colors are like North Carolina.
Who has colors?
It's like North Carolina.
Is this the Renaissance?
Jack White has colors. His it's
like
like
to match you for the soiree.
It's like the North Carolina blue. You know what I mean? Like a light
like
blue.
Tar Heels.
Yeah, exactly,
okay.
exactly. And
little feet.
And the color of the bag for Lil Baby's wrap snacks was also the Tar Heel blue, like you said. And I was like, oh, this is the Baby wrap snacks. And then I didn't realize it when I got back. I was like, oh, right, there is probably a different person is Lil Baby.
So Aaron asked, is the quote the gas station, is this an offline story? No, we're going to tell the story.
No, who's Rolston too said local stab and grab, and that is sort of accurate. In fact, you get it.
Again, while I don't think that our patrons necessarily overlap very large in the middle of the Venn diagram, they do
get gas.
They do get gas. But this gas station is one that I would literally drive miles out of my way.
I keep going, yeah.
If I'm not dying of needing gas.
I don't
and
get gas
if
there.
anyone here's like, I'm going to get gas, I'll pop across the street. I will walk over there and escort you.
Yeah. If it says, it's one of those, I mean, this is most places, but if it's like says, please see cashier or whatever, like, We'll do anything.
You have to get the key for the icebox outside every time. It's not just unlocked.
It's
the
bad.
day.
It's a what do they call it? An opportunity district.
Yes. Okay. So that story. So I walked over there and was immediately accosted by a.
Accosted, a strong word.
Oh yeah. I was aggressively told thank you
I know.
for not.
You better say something back
for
to
not
me.
responding to Happy
Yeah.
New Year.
Yeah.
I don't owe you any conversation in any way, sir, who is standing outside of this local establishment that I do not frequent
Yeah.
with purpose.
Please, I just want the thing really
Anyway, so I
quickly.
walk in there and it's very small. I mean, you have to like walk around. Like,
Brad Hill says bodega, but I disagree.
no, bodega, I agree with. It's just
you
not
do?
attached to anything else. Yeah.
Oh, it is in fact a bodega, but I don't think you classify it as a bodega as in like all bodegas are like this. There are definitely
No.
safe bodegas.
No, but it is very much one of those like they carry the thing, like the individual human that owns it carries the things they know they sell. There's
Oh,
not just
hi,
like-
Brad Hill, by the way. I wasn't just offering him up and be like, he's stupid. It's wrong. It's a nuanced answer that
Yes,
I don't
but it is that
necessarily
style
100%.
of-
Yeah, it is.
yeah.
It is a bodega.
And
style place.
there are locals. And if you hear lots of noises,
I said
that's
that earlier, but-
Brandon. But I just want to point out that we're closed. It's quitting time.
Yeah, we're close. He's
Brandon
working
didn't
after
stop.
hours on his own
Yeah,
stuff.
Didn't
Yeah,
stop working.
he loves them. Motorcycles.
So I crossed the street on foot, which is also kind of a risk.
Oh God! Around here, people drive like crazies, like psychopaths.
If it was warmer, I would have been almost hit by a four-wheeler, probably, or
it
a
was
man
raining.
riding,
It's actually pretty warm.
or a man riding a lawnmower.
We're taking our time to talk about how long this show lasts or whatever.
right.
We haven't even opened the beer.
Anyway, so
Tell me
the
what you
beer.
got. Tell me what you
I got this from Land Grant, which if you're not familiar with Columbus, this is a local brewing establishment as well. Land Grant, and I got Oh Sure.
Beer is killing me. I'm like,
You have no spatial awareness.
I don't know why I think I can. Okay.
Are you not self-aware?
I'm watching it at the
Are you
same
going to tell me something at the end of this that you are not self-aware?
I'm so self-aware. Okay, continue.
It got me with the rainbow.
Oh, sure. Okay, so there's a cool brewery slash restaurant, bar, whatever, just nearby, like a mile away in the Franklinton area, which we love to say we are a part of.
We are South Franklin.
But we're like on the edge of Franklinton, which is like the cool district. And anyway, this is a land grant. I hope I haven't shaken it up too much to open it.
I didn't wipe mine off, and I
You
feel
got mine. I heard some like audio ducking when I opened it, like pop. Anyway, I got Stiff Arm, which is an IPA. And
I
you
got that
said,
for you because I wasn't sure how you felt about the rainbow.
I don't care about a rainbow. Come on, look how much you're laughing. It's like, set me up to be like prejudice. I thought you wouldn't want to drink out of something with a rainbow.
This is gonna be like
I
that
couldn't care less.
tortilla
Why would
video.
you
I
say
almost
that?
spit all of this over you.
Why would you say that? Oh my God.
I absolutely thought about setting that joke up when I was buying that beer.
Oh, you. Okay, well, what kind of beer is
Okay,
this?
so it says it's a bright, approachable, and clean tropical
I have
IPA.
this. I'll just read it. Oh, IPA. It is an IPA.
It is an IPA.
But they're the same beer, and you're like, I don't know if you'd like the rainbow. What is wrong with you? For the record,
I also
I'm
like.
fine with rainbows.
I also got this because it stiff arm.
Yeah, I think it's meaning to be like Ohio State thing or
It's
whatever.
masculine.
And then our friend Mandy, her name is Miss Birdie. She did the mural on the bar
on Land
on the
Grant,
side.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's over right by our old stomping grounds, the Idea Foundry, and that's a good choice. Good choice for this. Did you want to clean?
Are you just gonna say stomping grounds, the old Idea Foundry, like people are gonna know what that means? Sounds like yes. Okay, so Gina was like, Nicole, you're a great looking V100. Gene,
Nicole.
you're a great looking V100.
Hey,
Hey,
talk about rainbows.
Talk about rainbows.
Okay, so yes. Well, I guess I don't know if she's trying to set this up. Gina was just here like an hour
She
ago.
was just here.
Maybe 2 hours ago. That's so funny. Well, anyway, there is a new motorcycle coming out. We kind of didn't do that. We just like the light in the background is like a fun like.
But I built this, so I'm
sky.
proud of it.
Yeah, you did. Yes, for sure. And it lights up and stuff, and so that's fun. But that's a new motorcycle that's coming out from Moto Guzzi, and it's a game changer. Moto Guzzi has always been air cooled. They've never done water cooled, and that one's water cooled, and it has 100.
I like saying it has adaptive aerodynamics.
It has all kinds of bells and whistles. It has 115 horsepower. It's
Just because it makes me sound smart, and guys will listen to me when I talk about it, because then I sound like I know something they don't know.
Qualify yourself in this world. Yeah, it has active aerodynamics. So you go over a certain speed, and they go.
Are we going to do alliteration? Adaptive.
We already did.
Advanced.
We just did it.
Aerodynamics.
We are, and we have.
That sounds like an ASMR skit.
I don't know if that comes across. We haven't tested that.
Let me know if you can hear the macaroni and cheese.
So anyway, thank you, and it will be somewhat nebulous when this beer is exactly finished, and then when we'll actually officially quit. And
I just want to say the goats of this live stream are the 10 people in the chat on New Year's Eve.
10 people. Thank you very much. Honestly,
with 3.5 hours of notice.
Yeah, well, that's true too, because we're just kind of. We said this.
But that's literally what this cart is for. Is I want to do this in an hour. Great. Done. Set up. Ready to go.
We said I think you and I said this. We might do this maybe like 2 days ago. And then we're like, I don't know. And then we never kind of said it for sure. And then we said that. And I was like, tell people today. So you started saying
Aaron already has our little phrase of TWSS. Thank you for paying attention. That's a good segue to ask me what I've been doing lately.
Don't tell me how to live my life. So what I was going to hold on, because the people want to hear this part, which was what I was going to say is part of why we created this thing is also for the people. It's to show our appreciation and interact a little bit with our friends and our people that are in the chat right now. That's the exact reason is, we created this motorcycle shop to, build a community or whatever. And sometimes those people aren't physically here. Aaron's kind of close, but you could be across the country or the world or whatever. So this is our chance to hang out and talk, and you get to have the end of the day beer with us. That's the idea. Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of community and chat and talking online, what have you been doing since we last talked, Nicole? Tell us about it. That's my radio DJ guy.
Are you just mad that I wouldn't let you do any of those weird button sounds? No.
Wouldn't let me? Anyway, so
nobody wants that.
There's a show on the YouTubes that you've been participating in. Tell me about it.
It is Weirdos Unite. I missed last night, but it's a weekly live stream podcast YouTube.
It's all those things.
Thing.
I'll stop nodding when it's not one of those things.
Okay. Hippopotamus.
It's not a hippopotamus.
So it is Weirdos Unite, and I don't know, and Aaron could probably correct me on this. Gina, do not encourage him with button sounds.
People love it. Thanks, Gina.
Gina, I thought we were friends.
She doesn't. I don't know why you don't like them. It's funny. It's production quality.
Yeah,
is what it is.
So yes, Aaron, I said it's Weirdos Assemble, but what exactly it is a weekly.
You might have said unite. You might have said unite. Every once in a while, you say unite.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's on
Weirdos Assemble.
Two Wheeled Goons channel is a good one to go to because I can't say he's always the host because it does rotate through a couple of the main guys, but it broadcasts from his channel. So, Aaron, if you wouldn't mind being like a free producer and just put a link to that.
Oh, wow.
In the chat.
Checks in the mail, brah. It's a live stream that gets recorded and turned into a video and podcast.
So I have been right from beginning to end of this description.
Yeah, because initially you were like, it's podcast, but you're like, kind of like, well, I don't know, people come and go and they hang out and whatever. And let's just say the theme is a bit loose. Here's something I noticed in watching you on it.
The theme is a bit loose?
I said the theme. The staying on topic, I mean, is that when you first got on this, you're like, these guys are. This is funny because it's like kind of behind the scenes. These guys who invited me on this podcast, I don't know if I should do it or whatever. I was like, you should definitely do it. Go do it because I think you're hilarious. And anyway, so as we will now prove, so you were on this podcast with these guys, and I was like, I don't know, it's not very podcasting. I can't remember. You said it was to talk about
helmets and winter gear.
oh, I thought it was camping equipment, but it wasn't even that episode,
No.
right? And you're like, it's helmets and winter gear or whatever. And you were like, I could tell because that was your expectation going in. I'm looking at you and during the thing, and you're like, nobody has talked about the helmets for an hour. And you just kept kind of saying, can we talk about helmets? And so then the next episode, it was like called like staying on topic. And I could tell you were like, guys, what happened to the topics?
It's a good time.
Yeah, no,
That's all
that's
you
very
need to
fun.
know.
It's very fun.
It's very interactive with the chat. And these are all people who, so I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't really know the rest of the people in person or haven't met the rest of the people in person
Yeah.
besides like Aaron.
They're kind of like online people who had already had like Discord or community or something. And then
I believe they're all part of Shade Tree's army.
yeah.
And
they've been down to Florida
and
as a
been to
big
the
thing.
camp
Yeah.
out. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I had met
The Forgotten Angels campground.
yes.
I just said Florida, but maybe you don't know what that is.
Yes. So it's column A, column B, underneath gum under the table type of group. And we'll figure out later what that might mean because I have no idea. I just pulled that out of nowhere.
Oh, I thought that was like a reference. I'm like, I don't remember
No, I've
that
heard I'm
episode.
bad at analogies, so I
It's
was trying to come up with one.
to go to his lives. Yes. I read that weird. I was like, go live. Anyway, so yes, yeah. Check that out. And also, here's the easy way to do it. If you're interested in stuff that Nicole's up to, Road Worrier, like I'm worried about things, Road Worrier Moto, follow her on Instagram. Most likely you do because you are here now. But anytime you're going to do that, at least some amount ahead of time, you're going to say it. And you don't have to check it out live, but it is one of those things that's more fun live.
Yes, because then you can just badger me along with everyone else.
And say TWSS, which I did not define. I was going to start to do it, and then you interrupted me. I think maybe on purpose. You don't want everybody to know it's an inside joke.
It's an inside joke.
Okay, nonetheless, you invented it. I heard you're the first person ever to use that phrase specifically.
No, poker chips is something me and Palmer invented.
Okay, I don't know that one either.
I don't know if they're in here,
I do
but
know that first one. I figured I cracked the code. Okay, so tell me the kind of things that you've been doing on that show, podcast, Brontosaurus, Hippopotamus.
I mean, we just talked about stuff, and the last one I was on was about mental health, which was really interesting to have a bunch of conversations about mental health with a bunch of people who we discussed whether motorcycles were therapy, and I thought that was a fun topic.
But you want to give me a brief answer? What do you think? I thought you felt like no.
There's a lot of discourse about that. I feel like it can be, and I think, and I will never get anyone's name right. You know this. I can't remember his name.
Sorry, everyone.
You could be wearing a name tag, and I will forget what your name is. I'm so sorry, but you could say, "Hi, my name is Dylan." I'm like,
oh no,
Dustin?
Now that is a thing. I don't know if we've talked about that, I'm sure, but there is a thing that happens, like a mental block where when someone reaches out their hand and suddenly it's like anxiety, the pressure's on, and you're just thinking like, I'm thinking about literally anything but the next word you're going to say, which is your name.
my own name.
Yeah, yes. Just lucky I got
I'm gonna have
my
to
name
respond
right. And then like,
with my own name.
Did you just tell that guy your name was Sharon? Her name is not Sharon. I don't know why she did that. It's just like, oh no. So it's like social anxiety.
Aaron said making fun of each other. Yes.
But not really.
What I love about that
It's
group,
from love.
what I love about that group is that they're my kind of people, because I could make a "that's what she said" joke and everyone laughs about it. And then when one of the people makes a joke that could be interpreted in any way inappropriately, we all just laugh and stare at them until they come to the same conclusion.
Well, you did talk about mental health, and it's obviously a sensitive topic. That was not a time to make fun of people. Oh, you need to
No,
ride
I
'cause
actually,
your brain doesn't work.
to be completely honest, I was in a group chat with one of the other guests on the show, and he and I were talking about how I was like, I might need to bow out. I might
That's
need
fine.
to.
I think that's how it works.
This is getting real serious. And then we kind of like, as
Laughed it off.
traumatized people do, we laughed it off and figured it out. But yeah, it was it's a hot mess of a good time.
Yes,
For sure.
for sure. And you definitely come in the next day, just
Absolutely
like this
no
was crazy.
context diving. Yes. And we will explain none of it.
I don't know. Watch the episodes. or
Watch the
whatever.
episode.
So, okay. Well, tell me about the weather. Some weather we're having. Anyway, we were joking about this. We were talking about this earlier, and I was like, it sucks to just hear someone complain about the weather. But this week, the weather's been amazing.
I pretty much only took photos of motorcycles and rode motorcycles yesterday.
I like that story when you said, "Did I work today?" No,
No,
I just took photos.
I didn't do. I mean, no, I did not work. You can't make me.
Tell me your new moto crush in the
Look
back.
Look.
Oh, she gets the.
I do not make eye contact. So feel privileged or creeped out, whichever works for you. That Sportster,
Yeah. Which Sportster?
the 79.
Oh, there's a puppy in the back too. That's Marley.
Beep, beep, beep.
Little
Hello.
bonus.
Yeah, little bonus. If you can see her.
You can't. It's just like
Giant
very
foot.
a couple pixels.
So the 1979 Harley Davidson Sportster has an engine that is, it's rusty. Cool, fine. It is not rubber mounted.
It's not clean.
It is not clean. It doesn't leak.
I know. Yeah, I mean, these are jokes that people always make about Harleys and stuff. Obviously, like brand new
Every single
Harleys do not
person who
leak.
saw that bike yesterday said, "Where's the leak?"
Doesn't leak.
Doesn't have
It
one.
has oil. I've checked.
Has a dent in the tank.
I've checked. Yeah.
Handlebars are garbage.
So we took this bike in on trade. I'll fill in the people.
Oh, right.
You're just really jumping ahead here. But we took this bike in on trade. Guy bought a brand new Moto Guzzi and traded in two vintage bikes. And
A 69 BSA Rocket 3
yeah.
and a 1979 Harley Davidson Sportster.
Yeah. Is that written on your hand somewhere? She doesn't normally remember the names or the years, and I'm the one who have to remember the years. So great job, 69, 79.
You know why I remembered the 69.
That's funny. It's the funny number.
And the 79 is because it's cute. It introduced
posted it-
itself
you
to me.
posted it a
Yes, and
lot,
I posted
yeah.
it 17
I
times.
remembered
yesterday.
its name. But so it's this cool blue bike, and if you've seen it on her Instagram or whatever, you rode it like a lot yesterday. And I rode it. I basically.
I'm sure someone would have gotten to the point where they're like, "Is Nicole coming back today?"
Yeah. Well,
No.
I initially told you these bikes, and that bike hadn't moved for a while, other than pushing on the trailer and pushing it back in here, and it didn't run. Brandon and I, for the most part, got it running. And then nobody had ridden it. You know, it was 10 degrees
I'm taking credit for fixing the brakes.
a week ago. Yeah, no, you do jump ahead, and or I talk too slow. I don't know. And so we got the bike running, and no one had ridden it. We don't know if it actually moves. And so before you took it out, I was the guinea pig, and at least like got it up and down the street. And I was like, something's weird about the brakes. We splashed water on it. One of them was all steamy or whatever, and I was like, well, just don't go too far.
And that is not a sexual innuendo. Steamy means the brakes were rubbing on them or the rotor was not straight.
It got too hot. Yeah, basically what happens is the pads don't retract, and then it heated up, and then I mean, it could be a bad time, but for the amount of distance
It
we
wasn't
traveled, we only
dragging.
went a
It
mile
wasn't
or
dragging
so.
from the beginning at all. So I didn't think that like the rotor was.
Well, it definitely was dragging. That's why I noticed in the parking lot it was hard to push. That's how I first noticed it. And then you went out and used the brakes a couple times. You came back in, and I was like, let's test, and they weren't hot. So you took it a mile or two, and then was fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you took it out much further, and it started every time, and it sounded great, and it never had any issues. It could maybe use some final tweaking, but
Yeah, it seems like the carb. The choke was very sensitive.
we think it's a air mixture thing, right? That you were,
Yes.
Yeah.
So the idle screw.
It's
Well, are
carbureted,
you calling that
obviously,
an
so-
idle screw? Is that an idle plastic piece?
No. That is the idle mixture. So technically, I guess when you say idle screw, I think you mean throttle stop. Technically, is so when you let go of the throttle, how far back does it go? Does it let it die, or does it stop right before that? And you can adjust that part. And you know this obviously. And then it has a special, like literally, you're adjusting the air and the fuel at idle. So that is what needs to adjust. So idle screw is not wrong. It's just the sort of are two. Do women even know about motorcycles? Yes. This
Yeah.
one does. You didn't have any of that this week, did you?
Any what?
Misogyny?
Getting beer.
Yeah. Well, that was like homeless arguing or whatever it was. It was it's aggressiveness. It wasn't.
That was a berating. I don't know what. I don't know what to call that because I simultaneously feel like I have to at least say hello if someone says hello to me.
Oh, of course.
I think my 2020.
Oh, as a woman, especially too. I don't have to do that because I could. What are you going to do? Fight me?
He made eyeball contact.
No, I know.
And I say that because there was only one.
You are funny. Wait, Gina. I don't know if she's still here, but That one's for her.
That's for her. It's for the ladies.
The lady one.
That's true, because none of the rest of us want the fake clapping. Yeah.
That's just you. Well, I thought
Aaron
it was
asked, is this a project bike? I think that's a really good question, because honestly, we have a new peanut tank.
There was. I
It's
didn't know the end of the word was coming. I don't know.
Gallons.
We have a brand new peanut tank. Yes, it's. I don't know. I was like, oh, I don't know what you're saying. We do. Yes, we bought a new tank because. So what happened with this bike is, and this is the tough part about having a motorcycle business like this is this guy showed us a couple photos, cell phone photos. I'm like, well, okay, we're interested, and he shows up with this bike and he dropped this bike, trying to load it up himself. So the tank had a little bit of a dent and stuff. Peanut tank, maybe Aaron doesn't know this, but it's a tiny, it's a Sportster tank.
It's just
very
small.
It's your standard Sportster tank
And that's
throughout
what she
the
said.
years, but it's tiny.
Yep.
You got to compensate for it. So anyway,
That's why my Sportster has the low 4 gallon. Oh, my
you're gonna-
phone is ringing and it's making.
that was a crazy noise. I don't know if that came across. I
Don't
think it was
ever
like,
call me is a good.
What the heck? It could be the shop. Hey,
It is the
turn
shop.
it off. It's quick
because
time.
my phone rings the shop.
Anyway, yeah. So it's just not in. It doesn't look like it should run as good as it does, but it runs great. It starts right up, and it goes on the road great, and it's fun to ride. The handlebars are kind of silly, and
Honestly,
I can't turn to the left. You can do
They're
it
more.
okay.
They're more. So yeah, being short really helps. It's a very It's a aggressively compact bike for being 1,000 cc's.
I know.
And it feels powerful and fast.
Yeah.
But zippy.
It's got some giddy up.
It does have some good,
rips.
honestly. So Palmer said when they sat on it that they didn't like the throttle, and I was like, I mean, maybe because you're not
pretty
Yeah,
good.
that throttle's pretty perfect.
It doesn't have a lot of resistance, and maybe that.
There is like a tiny bit of delay, but I feel like that's, if I were to ride any of these vintage bikes, I'd have the same thing. I think we're a little bit, well, they should know that because all of their bikes are vintage too. Anyway, I just feel like if I were to compare maybe like a Moto Guzzi with shaft drive to this throttle, you'd be like, yes, there's a delay on this, but it's also a vintage bike and
Carbureted. Yeah.
carbureted. So, I'm not expecting super immediacy.
I don't know.
You got to work it a little.
I was super
Flip that
impressed.
thing and reverse it.
I don't. Anyway,
I
so
may or may not have pre-gamed. We'll let the audience decide.
it's like, wow, we were open before this. That's the idea of the concept of the video. Anyway, she's staring at me, everyone. I don't know how to talk anymore. So anyway,
Have that effect on people.
so we really like this bike. It was a surprise. And it's a fun. So I see someone in the chat, Big Al's talking about vintage bikes. It says I have a 75 CB360T, which is your first bike.
Okay, so fun.
It's on the
Does
wall
he
over
say
here,
what
but you
year?
can't see it.
Does he say
75.
what year?
He said 75.
Okay, so mine was a 75.
Which is the first year of the T.
So 1975 CB360T was my first bike, and I'm really distracted by Brandon. I guess
Using the air gun, yeah.
Aaron using the sound is just so distracting to me. But T is for travel.
You're touring.
Touring.
Yeah. They're Japanese. It's whatever you want it to be.
Got them disc brakes.
Yeah, so that is the difference. I don't know. He brought it up. Hey, you brought it up. You got us started. But it's kind of interesting because in the CB350, obviously, sort of eventually became a 360. There's a lot of differences, but they're very similar looking. There's a twin from Honda. And the 350 in 73 became disc front brake. Back then it was just drum brakes. Sounds crazy by our standards. And they added disc brake in the front in 73, and then they had some wild colors. We have a purple one back there. You probably can't see in the shop. It's around the corner. And then in 74, they added the 360, and then they
Touring, or some say twin.
Yeah, you're trying to get me started. She's just doing this smile face, but
It's touring.
yeah, people say twin and they say F means 4 and stuff, and it just absolutely does not. Sometimes that is the distinction, and that's what's confusing about it. But yeah, he's got a disc front, drum back, and then so my point, long story short, or short story long, like you said, it was the disc. Then the first year of the 360, it was a drum again, and then it went back to disc in 75, and then it became the CJ 360 2 years later. So I think that would be.
I'm going to ask the question on everyone's mind. Do I regret selling that bike? Absolutely.
Yeah, so you had one called Bernadette. We've got a photo of it up in the shop, a beautiful photo of a bike night, and then you've got one over here of you on it. My hand's getting cut off. It's right this way. And then it was red. It was gorgeous. And then you sold it. We sold it a couple of times.
Yes, I sold that bike twice. And the first time I actually cried about it, and we all know that I don't cry, but I had to buy Murphy.
Oh, it's Roland. That makes total sense now.
Oh, you did not? Oh, I thought you were making a joke. You didn't know that was Roland?
I didn't think about the name. Like I wasn't doing the math.
They were here yesterday.
Yeah. So he's mentioning that
friends.
He talked about it in the CL. The CL is what he's talking about, which is a 72 CB 350 or CL. Sorry,
Oh,
CL
wait.
350.
Oh, you are not going to believe this. Charlie is in the chat.
Oh wow,
He's
that's
watching.
so great. We're talking about
Look,
that.
if you ever want to sell that bike,
She talks about it all
if
the
you
time.
want to sell Bernadette,
That's so funny that's in the chat right now. If you guys aren't in this chat, it's epic. So this is like when they find the girl. Remember that guy that made that song about the meme or whatever, and the girl like tuned in and was the girl. Anyway, that's not. I was just joking.
I
It's
hope
not
you
nearly as
love
epic
her
as
with
that.
all of your might.
So Charlie's in there. Yeah. So we sold it twice, and the second time, what's the Charlie?
Well, I'm glad I didn't say anything derogatory. I'm just kidding.
No, that's a
we
great bike.
sold
You
the
told me how much you loved
first
it.
bike to a young man in North Ohio. I don't want to give away all his details.
Oh, sure.
And then he inquired about potentially trading it in to get an Interceptor, a Royal Enfield Interceptor. And I was like, my chance. I will be redeemed and I will get Bernadette back. And then he changed his mind and didn't want to trade her back in. And first of all, that's how I know she's in a good home. She has been rehomed to a loving family who will take
This is
care
what he
of her.
just said. He said, "You've got first dibs, but I probably won't ever sell it. I do love her. That's great. That's
Perfect
what you
bike.
want. That's what you
Perfect
want.
bike. Yes, that's the thing. Is I am sad that I don't personally own Bernadette, but I do know that she's in a good home.
That's awesome.
And that
is
her
really
current
cool.
owner is infatuated with her as much as I was.
I'm so glad to see that Charlie's in there. That's awesome.
It's
That's good to
literally the
hear.
most perfect 360
I know.
I've ever seen or
I know.
ridden.
So this is funny, but the story of how we got that, we go to Vintage Days, which if you're not from Ohio, which I think the ones of you that I know in the chat are from here, but it's like an hour away from here, and it's put on by the AMA, the American Motorcycle Association, and it's at this racetrack called Mid Ohio, and it's a huge event, and we go there looking for a bike. You know, we saw our friend, which is on the wall over there, our friend Dennis's bike, which was a CB350. And you just fell in love with it. It's not a factory color. It's kind of the factory.
So it is a repainted, restored.
It's like a hunter green.
But the first time I ever saw the Diva, which is her name, I knew that was the first time I just want to point out that if you were listening to Brandon's conversation that I can kind of hear,
I can't hear it.
that maybe it's a little bit private. I have no idea.
He knows.
I have no idea. But if you hear about, what he's picking up on the corner later, you didn't hear anything. But when I'm looking at Diva from across the vintage showroom in a photo I took of Dennis's
CB350.
bike. When I saw that bike for the first time, because I had never really seen a bike at that point that I was like, this is the bike.
Whoa.
I'm that. Yeah.
Does anyone have a new monitor? I'm just joking. Yeah. Well, I think
was
it's
the
because
first
we
bike
were
I'd
thinking
seen.
about motorcycles. We weren't thinking I could have one.
It's not so much that I couldn't have one, it's that I hadn't decided, like if someone was like, what bike do you want to have as your first bike? I couldn't think of one. And when I saw the Diva at a vintage bike night, which my first vintage bike night did not go well. So the fact that I even went back, I told you this story.
Table that one.
Yeah, we'll table that one. But essentially, I was unaccompanied at that and met someone who is now a friend. That's a
I do. Okay.
private conversation, I guess. But not naming any names. But I saw the Diva and I was like, that is the bike I want. I think I actually asked Dennis if she was for sale. And he said no. I'll never sell it.
He's had that bike forever and done a bunch of work to it and painted it, obviously. And, it's beautiful. Everybody loves it.
And so when we went to Vintage Days at Mid Ohio, when I saw a bike that was remotely similar, so we arrived at Vintage Days at Mid Ohio. Look, whatever.
What's that called?
It's Vintage Days.
Vintage Bike Days.
If you're not familiar with it, it's a giant swap meet, and there are just
it's
rows.
impossible to describe how big it is. It's so big.
Anyway, so I don't know who Corey's channel is, but Corey said I was there this
I
year.
think he means Vintage Days or she
Yeah.
or he or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they mean Vintage Days.
So we started at the very far end and we're going to work our way up so we could see every single aisle.
Yeah.
And I was very determined to buy a bike that day. In fact, I had way too much
We brought money.
cash in my pocket,
Yeah.
fully expecting to buy a more expensive bike, which is going to circle back at the end.
Yeah.
But so we arrive in the first the first aisle of this bike show.
It's like literally the first bike we even considered.
And I said, it's that one.
Yeah. And
That bike right there.
Yeah.
And the guy said, the starter doesn't work. And I looked at that bike and thought, that's too big.
Yeah. It's funny how your perspective works, but I thought the part you're going to
As
say
someone
was
who now owns and rides several way bigger
gigantic
bikes,
yeah.
yes, that bike was way too big to my mind at the time. And so you said you can't buy the first bike you see.
Because there's thousands of motorcycles there. And I thought, this is just kind of, we were going to see 4 more of these. And we saw probably 10 more, but none of them as good. And
so I said, if this bike is not here, when we come back through seeing the rest of this, and I'm air quoting if you're just listening to this, the rest of this
we don't have that
show,
technology.
and this bike is not here, that's going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
And
What isn't?
And so we walk around and I don't even know if this is an accurate amount of time because time is lost at Mid-Ohio. You are walking in the sun at noon,
Always
sweating
so hot.
all of your body weight and water and electrolytes out of yourself.
We came back 100 pounds each.
And I don't wear shorts, and I believe I was wearing shorts that day.
Oh yeah, that's how you know it's hot.
Yes, if I have a tank top and shorts on, you better.
I'm in a sauna.
Yes, I'm in Florida with it being 100 degrees with the 20-degree heat wave or whatever, humidity. What is the thing that makes it? We have wind chill here. They have
Humidity.
So it's not there when we get back, and I was devastated.
I know.
Because
it was gone.
there wasn't a single bike that even remotely.
I know. We decided, fine, we're gonna run back.
I mean, so it's like a little bit uphill.
You walked way ahead of us because you were just like. On
I was like, no, I'm gonna dad with a fanny pack and my white New Balances through Disneyland my way through.
What the heck? Oh, no, it's perfect.
I've heard that I'm bad at metaphors. Anyway, I am speed walking my way through the mall or whatever is your proper metaphor to go get this bike, and it's not there. The guy in the booth next to where the guy with Bernadette was, or before she was Bernadette, before she was who she truly was, says, I know this guy. I have his phone number. He's actually trailing it home. And I remember him saying when we were talking to him that his wife would be mad if he returned home with this bike. He was supposed to get rid of it. Yeah. And I hated that he talked about her like that.
Thick bike. Yeah, and he just left. So we think he's still there.
So he's like, I think I can catch him. He's probably just at the gate. So he calls him. And I'm like, I have to interact with a stranger, but this sounds like a really good opportunity for me to not spend so much money.
Yeah, he wants to get rid of it. He said he wanted to get rid of it.
And I said, I can help you not have a fight with your wife when you get home.
So bold. It's not like you. It's
No,
like you sometimes,
it's
but not most
like
of the
me.
time.
It's when I saw that bike and said, you know what, put all of your anxiety aside. You need to aggressively flirt with this man.
I don't think that's
Not in a sexual
I don't
way.
think this is correct.
In a whatever.
It's called negotiate when it's about a business thing.
Is that what it's called?
Aggressively negotiate.
Maybe that's why I'm so socially awkward. Everything just seems.
It's all negotiation.
How do you
We're
say
not
that word? Negotiation? Got it.
Negotiation.
Put that in my pocket. Put that in my pocket.
Excellent.
Anyway, so
Pocket pantomime.
I was able to take some money out of the envelope I had and put that back in my pocket.
That's a good trick. That is a good trick when you're buying a bike, is you don't want to show them your whole wad. Continue.
Yeah, so I didn't ride yet. I had my license, I believe.
Yeah. But I seem to-
No, I didn't.
I thought
you
you
want to know?
did.
No,
I think you did.
No, I
You
didn't.
did.
You know, want to know
did.
why?
You did. You did.
What did I do when I first got my license? A week after.
You think you used the CB200?
Yes, but what? No, because I got my license in August. There's a whole separate
'cause we didn't
series.
have the right size bike.
Yeah. So, and then I laid down your
Motorcycle.
Honda
Flying car.
Nighthawk, the Nighthawk 750,
I was just trying to distract.
and then waited till the spring, took the class again,
Oh, okay.
got my license.
Yeah,
And
I didn't
then
think about that. And then that
Mid-Ohio
would've
is
been
from
summer. I don't
July.
know. Well, anyway, I don't know how the timeline works out, but
Anyway, I didn't ride to the extent of being able to ride this the hour from Lexington, Ohio, back to Columbus.
I rode it back, and the guy
And he
was
said
like,
the starter didn't work.
starter
and it
doesn't
did.
work, and it worked sometimes. And then we've learned that that's actually super common. I've probably done 10 of those now. It's just like the most common thing that happens on a 350 or 360 is that starter motor. It's a starter clutch, actually. Just the parts go flying and then you have to replace them. So we've got a lot to catch up on. Charlie said he's working on a 72 CB500, which is awesome. One of my favorite motorcycles. And that's actually the other one that I'm on in that photo. I'm referring to it, but you guys can't see it. And then it was like our initial, like, we're opening a shop and we're on bikes. And then Big Al says, which hi to Big Al. We've never actually interacted before, but hello from Oklahoma. So he says, I'm in Oklahoma, rode his to California and Denver. He's trying to recapture that lightning in a bottle. Very common, of course. People love that. And
that's definitely the number one comment, despite the fact that I get a lot of comments about, did you ride that here yourself, little lady, on any of my bigger bikes. On Bernadette, I actually usually got good comments.
Oh, that was my first bike.
That was my first bike. I absolutely love this. We went to a Harley dealership before we opened ours. Actually, a Harley dealership I used to work at, and rode vintage Hondas up there. And
That's right.
Everyone came outside and said, I want to see these vintage bikes.
Yeah. That was, sorry to interrupt you there, but that's.
I was actually trying not to burp into the microphone.
We thought those guys were gonna. Well, give me a wink, a signal next time.
You know I can't wink.
It's gonna make it worse. So yeah, we thought
they're all gonna know.
We thought they would be like, oh, those dorks showed up on Hondas and they just wanted to talk to us about it, which was great. Everybody likes bikes.
Well, we were in there. I was sitting on a bunch of bikes and I was like, hey, tell me about this one. I was like, can you tell me about the ones outside?
Like, so about those Hondas. And I was like, oh, we're here to look at bikes. So then he said, this is all Big Al, bunch of messages here. And he said, he went and looked at a CD 175. CD 175 is so much more rare than all those other ones that we're talking about. So I would be a little worried about that.
I'd be worried about how unique that bike is and that it is a barn find.
I know. The best case
and
scenario.
whether or not it has a title.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, maybe it doesn't matter in Oklahoma. I don't know the rules, but in Ohio, it really does matter. We don't touch anything really without a title. I know some people do and whatever, but as a business, whatever, we don't. But
we don't touch nothing without no paperwork.
Touch nothing. So, so anyway, the best case scenarios, and this is the ultimate barn find or whatever, is where they just wrote it and then they kind of got bored with it, or it's sad or whatever, and then it wouldn't start anymore.
Or the tires got flat and they decided not to change them in the spring.
That does happen, but
how many times we've heard that with someone bringing in a vintage bike for service?
But what I would rather not have is, I tried to fix it, or I replaced a bunch of crap and now it won't start. I don't want that. Please don't do that. I don't want to fix somebody else's mistakes. I'd rather just be like, it didn't run. Let's fix time, but let's not fix some other person making a bunch of mistakes. Okay, so that was a fun tangent. We didn't even expect to talk about any of that stuff. Bernadette, Charlie's in the chat.
I was not expecting to talk so much about vintage motorcycles as we've set up this in front of this beautiful light box that I put together.
That was our initial. If you're not familiar with the sort of origin story of the auto companies, our original idea was vintage bikes. We had a garage full of vintage bikes. Some of these ones we mentioned, and we said, well, let's just work on vintage bikes and do that for as a shop and have like cool stuff like T-shirts and stuff like that. And then we added Royal Enfield because they look old but are new, and there wasn't a dealer in town. And
because of Itchy Boots.
Did we decide we liked Itchy Boots ahead of time?
Yeah.
If you've never seen Itchy Boots, she's here on YouTube. She's like a small little channel or whatever.
Here.
Are
you trying to start a... Okay, so Dylan has this theory that if you start a beef with a much larger...
Oh, no, that's not a theory. That's
company,
a fact.
that it's the no bad press is good press. What's his name?
Yeah. So like if we're a small channel, the theory is if we're a small channel, we were like, Itchy Boots sucks. And then like she has millions of
followers. She does not suck. In fact, you should follow her and watch all of her videos.
Out of context. But if anyone sent her that clip out of context, who are these guys? And then like she just starts like, if she made a video about like how
she like does a response video and they all know who we are afterward.
Then people would be like, who are those guys? Like we would benefit from it more than her.
Oh, it's a barn find from a friend, a neighbor of mine who found it under a ton of hay. Here's what I would be concerned with.
It's Oklahoma though. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's drier.
Oh no, I'm talking about rodents.
Oh yeah. No,
so under hay, I mean that's gonna keep it maybe from the elements, but you are gonna increase quadruple fold.
And he says, what tires? Gina. Got her. That was perfect. Okay. Anyway, it kind of feels like you want me to change the subject, or...
Yeah, go ahead.
But the buttons are funny. People love the buttons. I get nothing but positive comments about them.
You just like to push my buttons.
They're just the buttons. That is the part is true, too.
Put it out in the universe, just the buttons.
Any buttons. Okay, so, and he says he can fix it. I totally believe you can because...
Al, we believe in you.
Yeah. Those old Hondas, especially Honda Twins, they just...
As long as you're not trying to ride it right away. Yes, you can fix it.
Yeah, and so speaking of vintage bikes, another thing that's really fun, sort of pre what got us into this whole thing is Meekum's coming up, and that is the Meekum auctions. It happens every January. You've been once or twice? Just once?
I have been.
You don't remember?
No.
Oh man, you thought it would be more fun than it was, and it is kind of tedious and grinding.
Look, it is not that it was more fun than it. Wait, it's not that it wasn't as fun as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
There are so many people.
Oh yeah, a lot of people. Did you like yours, or would you like to switch?
I liked mine. Honestly, it has notes of juicy and tropical flavor.
And that's what's written on the can.
I've been watching a bunch of YouTubers from Polynesian islands, and so yes,
Got a little
juicy and tropical flavor, and is an approachable and balanced IPA.
So speaking of YouTube, tell me what you wrote this week. And
I'm getting. I'm gonna go with accosted. That's my word of the day. Accosted.
Yeah, hounded.
Accosted by the fact that it has been some amount of time since I've made a YouTube.
Yeah.
A
YouTube. They still call them that? YouTube?
Are you on the YouTube? Yeah, so I have filmed probably 12.
And not published?
And not published.
Oh, this is a problem. Do we need to fix it? Well, anyway.
I don't have the editing software anymore.
That became a whole big thing, too. Yeah,
I don't have the technology. We don't have the technology.
We don't have the technology, actually. Yeah, well, so you're a road warrior. You were doing a lot of camping stuff. You do the same kind of thing I do.
You know what I do have? So you asked me two questions. What have I been writing lately? I can answer. What?
It's Freudian.
What lady have I been writing? No. What have I been writing lately? And what have I been doing on YouTube?
Yeah, or whatever. But you have maybe do you have new videos coming out?
Not new videos. What I do have though, and this is going to be other YouTube shout out because she wouldn't let me pay her for her assistance. But I have shirt designs. I have merch, and Amanda Zito from Blind Thistle.
Oh, I was gonna say as the magpie fly.
Yeah. So.
She got a lot of names.
She got a lot of names. So As Magpie Flies, I believe, is the YouTube channel. And then Blind Thistle is the more like illustrative artist. Look, like,
on Etsy.
Yeah, because I bought prints and calendars, which you should buy prints and calendars.
She's an amazing graphic artist.
Yeah. This is not even what I'm talking about. She is an amazing graphic artist because she does the graphics on her videos. What I mean is that she does like watercolors.
Oh, no,
like,
definitely. Yes.
Illustration.
Yeah.
So, which is different. And as a person who has a best friend who is an artist, I realize that I must make the distinction for the public that illustrator and graphic artist and photographer and painter, these are all different things.
Of course.
And so she is both. But she helped me with because I am not a graphic designer. I am barely a photographer. So graphic design assisted me out of the quagmire that was me trying to make a design for a new shirt. And I have a Redbubble. So I have a Redbubble shop that has...
Redbubble is like print on demand.
Yes, print on demand designs. And because she helped me with it, I have something that's worth buying.
She's great. She sent you some notes and some minor edits and color palettes and stuff, and it worked out. It was very effective criticism.
Yes, constructive, I believe.
Very constructive.
Yes.
So constructive.
In fact, she just... took the design and fixed it.
And you were like, let me pay you or whatever. She's like, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
She's great. She has a Patreon. Have been a supporter of her for a long time. And
yes, I love her content.
Camping, travel stuff.
Yes, actually, one of Amanda Zito's videos is one of the first female-fronted motorcycle camping videos I ever saw.
Yeah.
And so it's one of the first times. It's like when couples walk into the shop and he's like, I like to look at bikes, and the girlfriend or wife or partner or whatever is like, I literally never considered that I could ride my own motorcycle.
Yeah.
Amanda Zito for me was that light bulb moment where I was like, I can combine my background in camping and outdoor education with motorcycling.
Yeah, you liked motorcycling, but you didn't think about doing camping as much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I credit Amanda Zito with jump-starting my obsession with motorcycle camping specifically.
And that's the kind of thing you have on your YouTube, but just a mix of things, but it's all motorcycle related, but
I don't do a lot of the vintage stuff anymore because I just can't take the heat.
Yeah, it can be tough out there.
That is a kitchen I'm not willing to cook in.
Yeah, we got Mr. Stockinger there in the chat. So hi to you.
Hey Ray.
He's a Himalayan guru. He's the guy. I saw a fan. This is really funny, but this is a story about him. So I saw someone posted, "Oh, this was in my KLR groups, and these guys love this guy." And he had his feet up, riding a Himalayan down the road, and his Himalayan is like outfitted. It's got a auxiliary fuel tank and all the guards and everything.
He does like fire rescue.
Something
Ray, maybe
like
you
that,
can explain.
yeah.
But
anyway, he's
crazy.
a distance guy. He goes on trips and camping. He does camping just like you were talking about. And I was like, I know that bike. He was like, yep, that's me. Like, you're famous. And you couldn't see his face or anything.
You know, the fact that has happened to me a couple of times. Someone's like, "Oh, is this you?" I'm like, "Yee."
I'm weird. That's so funny. So he laughed about that. But yeah, great guy, great supporter. Thanks for showing up. So
that was my response on the Weirdos Assemble, which I have now corrected myself to the correct.
I don't think it matters, but I think your headphones are backwards. Yeah. I don't think it matters. Like, it's not
We
like
do
we're
not
doing
have the technology. If anyone, okay, there are
I
two
just
things.
happened to read it and I was like left and right, but I don't think that's correct. It doesn't matter. Is everything different now? Does it sound like you're in a different room?
Yes.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does.
I don't think we're doing like anything in stereo though.
It sounds right.
Well, I'm glad I can help. I don't know.
Am I an idiot? Yes. You're fine.
No, come on. They're just too hard on yourself.
Anyway, so the two things that I have been hearing or are the reasons if someone says, well, why don't you do more YouTube videos? One, I do not have the technological prowess.
Yeah.
My inclination towards technology is
It's tough. It's tough to
abhorrent.
edit them, and the more you build up, the more it can be a thing.
And then I have to watch myself and hear myself. And then the other is because people started watching them.
Yes. Yeah.
Whoops.
You got a couple of things, and then you do your Weirdos Assemble. People started paying attention, and people started asking about it. Now there's expectations, so I get it. But you're planning to get back to it, but of course it's winter now.
I've had a lot of people tell me that I have to get over the being seen.
You have an adoring public who wants to hear from you. You only do our stuff 15 seconds at a time.
Yep.
The stories on Instagram are like,
Take the
it's
first
going to be done in
first
15
take and be like,
seconds.
send it to the press.
I don't know what to tell you. It was only 15 seconds, so I couldn't edit it. Yeah. So, well, what else is happening around the shop? Tell me. There was a couple bikes that
We
showed
set
up.
up here for a reason.
Oh, well, the V100 is happening, and you built this thing, and they sent it to us. How about that other one, the V7 Stone Special? What do you think?
Oh my God, that's a beautiful bike.
It's Moto Guzzi.
You can't see it slightly off camera, but I've been staring at it instead of
hold
you
on.
this whole time.
It is right. Bink, bink. I'm touching its headlight right now.
Oh, I didn't even know about that one. I'm talking about this one right here.
The four of them showed up, and two
And
of
two
them are
of them
sold.
remain.
2 of them are sold, and now 2
Four
of them
entered the chat.
gone silly. So anyway, they're gorgeous. I mean, it's just a perfect combination. So it's an annoying name. Moto Guzzi does this so much. And I don't think it's what?
They pay us.
They don't actually pay us. I mean,
Oh, we pay them.
we work together. So we are a dealer for Moto Guzzi, but they do this with the names. Is they have a stone and they have a special. Now they came up with a stone special.
Okay, so what?
So confusing.
Let's talk about what stone means. What does stone mean to you, Dylan?
Well, oh, you mean as in it's a bad name in general for a
No,
motorcycle?
that's not what I mean. I mean, you could pick the most arbitrarily assigned name. That's fine. You pick stone. To me, stone means matte paint.
Oh, yes. No, in the world of Moto Guzzi.
Yes, in the world of Moto Guzzi,
It's
this
matte paint.
stone,
It's a single gauge.
it doesn't have chrome
It's
as much.
black exhaust, and most things are
It
black.
is the more modern
yeah,
version.
and cast wheels.
And the
Tubeless
special,
tires.
is a more vintage looking,
Classic.
2 gauges, more chrome,
Looks like a vintage bike. Yeah.
not matte paint,
No, shiny.
glossy.
Glossy. Glossy. Why'd you say that?
Pale
Like
glossy.
Elvis?
I'm learning the guitar. I got to work on my Elvis. Anyway, so when you combine, for example, the Moto Guzzi V7 Stone Special.
Oh, you're trying to tell me it is a good name?
No, I'm agreeing that it's not a good name. I'm just saying why. It is a glossy motorcycle. It doesn't have chrome,
No.
but the glossy gets me.
When you say glossy, I hear
Gloss-
glizzy, but the glizzy gets me. I don't know why. It's ridiculous.
But the glitzy gets me.
And I mean like the hot dog glizzy.
What?
We talked about this. That's what it's the kids. The kids, they call it that. They call it a glizzy. It's a hot dog.
What?
I don't have to explain it to you.
I don't know what the kids are saying.
I've just said what the kids
I
are saying.
call it cylindrical meat or street meat.
No,
So
that's true. That is true.
actually, street meat.
It's a different thing. Oh my god.
It's a bratwurst in case anyone has that problem with their brain that I do.
Okay, so yes, Stone Special, gorgeous motorcycle. It's the right perfect combination.
My
it's black
only
and
thing-
red. It's shiny. It's got a little bit of flake to the paint. What don't you like?
It's not that I don't like it.
Okay, no, go ahead.
The cylinder heads.
Oh yeah, they're like a gray rather than black, like normal.
Yes.
What's this?
I would prefer if they were black.
That's
or
fine.
red. Because
Red, I think red would be too much. I looked at one today.
the shocks are red. I'm
There
looking
was-
at it right
there was
now.
the Moto
The
Guzzi.
trim is red.
They were-
The cylinder head covers.
I like
Actually, from this angle, now
No.
I'm looking at it from the back.
them. They stick out just enough, and
They
they
stick
just
out
highlight
just
it.
enough.
Yeah, Moto Guzzis are beautiful motorcycles. This is the weird thing, and we talk about this. And
Gotta
maybe-
know your angles.
Maybe people are following this and they're sick of us talking about Moto Guzzis or something, but they're awesome motorcycles. The weirdest thing about Moto Guzzis is that more people don't know about them. There's a video by Freddie Dobbs, and he does a bunch of motorcycle stuff, mostly Royal Enfields and Triumphs and stuff like that. But he's done a bunch of Moto Guzzi stuff. So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of like, how come nobody ever talks about Moto Guzzi? And I said the other day on a video, it's one of the best kept secrets. So I do a video series called In the Loop. I did film one with the bike we're talking about, which is the Stone Special. I think that'll be out. I'm trying to get it out Tuesday. I know that's sort of a short timeline. We have a lot going on between now and then, but even though we're not open, but Tuesday's when I'm trying to release.
Do you want to
these.
tell them what we're doing?
No, and well, we're taking photos. We're taking photos. I just was gonna skip ahead.
that was a shoe in for me. Thank you for taking that.
You
thunder.
are an amazing photographer. Check out any of the stuff we do, especially Instagram, and we're gonna go take photos of maybe that bike or some other bikes or whatever because the weather's nice.
Because that's really where I was
Sorry, I
going
took
with
all
this
your- took
segment.
all your
You took
words.
all my thunder.
Oops.
Is that somebody asked me if we winterize our bikes, our personal people who work here,
Ever.
our bikes.
No.
No. My Sportster, even though it's carbureted, is on a tender and should be getting started more often than it is. But
We'll ride tomorrow.
right. No, I don't winterize my bikes because it could be 64 degrees
Yesterday.
yesterday,
It's crazy.
and I could ride motorcycles all day.
Yeah. It was so cold that people's pipes were freezing and stuff like a week ago.
Like a week ago.
And now it's just like 64. No big deal. I mean, 64 is like legitimately good. Somebody
The
said
wind wasn't even cold. Like
No.
it's not like
it was warm.
It's not like wind off of
The sun and everything was like,
yeah.
I gotta wear a t-shirt. So Corey said, I love In the Loop, which thank you so much. But that's my thing I do where it's like 15 minutes maybe. And we just take it around the test ride route and I ride a different bike every time. And sometimes it's vintage and sometimes it's new and most likely a Moto Guzzi or a Royal Enfield, but it could be anything. And I just try to give you the idea of what it's like to ride it. So I'm doing that one. And I did a CB750, which I've done a couple times before, but this one's kind of especially good.
I almost died on the In the Loop route the other day while I was checking it out. For
Yeah,
test rides.
it's fun as a test ride route because there are many 90-degree turns, but
People
can
are
get sketchy.
impatient. Cars are impatient,
yeah. Sorry.
and I almost died.
No, I'm glad you didn't. I'm very glad.
Me and the opposing traffic giant ass UPS truck, we survived. Had a little moment. Made eye
Get it?
contact. Made eye contact with a stranger. That's how bad it was.
Where's this going?
A third party involved tried to kill us both.
Yeah. Well, I think that you've got a little bit of beer left, and we're going to try to. I'm going to steer you in the direction of finishing this whole thing out. Specifically, Artie, of course, he said that it was talking about moto camping videos, and we'll get to those. Obviously, the weather is a thing. Nicole's trying to
It's a
travel.
thing that exists.
The weather is a thing. Have you heard of it? But Nicole's trying to travel, and those weirdos assemble guys are trying to drag you to Florida. So there will be some stuff, and absolutely stuff like that's happening.
They will drag me smiling and whistling if I knew how to whistle.
Yeah, and Corey's mentioning that there's a polar bear run. Yeah, so it might. The funny thing is, polar bear run tomorrow is
That's
going to be
tomorrow?
60 degrees or something. But yeah, so what I was going to get at, and this is heading in the right direction of what I was going to say, is since it's the New Year's, this is New Year's Eve right now. So I appreciate everyone being with us because you probably have like a party or a cool hip thing that people are doing to get to later. But anyway, my point is that
People socialize?
other people definitely, I've heard of it. I've seen it.
How do you say
I've
it
heard
again?
You said it. It's you said
It
it.
just.
Anyway, so what I was going to say is, it's you talk about resolutions or whatever, but like, what are you trying to get out of motorcycling in the next year? What do you wish you did? Or you could talk about this year and say the things you accomplished and got checked off the bucket list or wrapped up or whatever. You got a new bike this year. Probably got technically you bought.
How
that,
many bikes did I buy this year?
Technically, you bought that Himalayan last year. Remember, because it was the last day of the year. It was a full year ago.
Yeah.
So you've owned a Himalayan. You've owned a Himalayan for years. It's his birthday. So what do you think?
I love that bike.
Yeah, it's dirty, and I told Tony not to wash it. He was like, "No, I kind of want to wash it."
Tony tried to wash my bike.
No, he said he was gonna have somebody wash it. That's what he said.
I know Tony will never watch this, but it did make no sense for you to say Tony was going to wash it.
He said he was going to ask you to wash it, is technically what he said.
No. It is currently covered in mud because I rode it the other day.
And it was kind of slushy out. Yeah.
But
it's been good. It's been a good year.
Yeah.
With the Hemi.
I really love the Himalayan. I was telling people coming into the shop, God damn it, we got to figure out what. I'm a gesticulator.
Sorry, my monitor
okay?
is so large.
My grandma would be proud of me.
Look at a smaller one. Gesticulating. She got that Italian blood.
What was I saying?
Himalayan. How's
Himalayan.
it been?
That doesn't help me.
I really like the Himalayan. I've had it for a year.
Oh, people come to the shop. So now there is the Scram, which is based on the general platform of the Himalayan.
Same engine and frame.
And it is definitely a very different. The only thing I wish the Himalayan had, which I know would be way too much work to do, would be the throttle body.
Yeah.
On the Scram is better.
The new bikes have been improved by a little bit.
But I do not want to get rid of my 21-inch. My 21-inch wheel. So that's
big. That's a big wheel. She got that big wheel energy, everyone. Here we go.
It's called BDE.
Yeah, big W-E.
Big WE.
Big wheel energy. Anyway.
You got that big wheel energy.
Yeah, and so you like the 21, you prefer the 21 inches.
I do, yeah. So the suspension and the ride with the wheel is much better, but the throttle body off of the Scram is better.
And you, for what you use it for, and this is what we talked to people about, Himalayans versus Scrams, for what you use it for, which is kind of the camping, and you do want to get into more like dirt roady things. So that could be a 2023 goal. Take it some off-roady stuff.
Hound Brandon and Kayla to put my Himalayan in.
Yeah, Brandon's working on his dirt bike right now. He's in the back. Gosh, see the
you can't see. That's cut off in the video
version.
They can't see.
Oh, does it zoom in a little bit more?
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
they can't see that.
He's working on his dirt bike, and he does a lot of that stuff at Wayne National
The seat of that dirt bike is at my belly button.
Yeah, it's very tall. Some dirt bikes are very tall.
I am 5'7", but my inseam's only 29 inches, so my legs are short. So I'll need a smaller bike.
Okay, so shorter. Himalayan was technically 2021.
Yes, I technically bought it and the reason I bought it was because a gentleman came in and we only had two Himalayans left.
You were thinking about it. You were really
I was between the Mirage Silver and the Granite Black.
You think you could have wound up with silver?
I could have.
It's crazy.
And this is how I knew the Granite. Look, all black everything.
I know.
For sure. The fact that I am not wearing all black today is a fluke.
You currently own 3 motorcycles and they're all black.
Yes, everything. They are all black. So he walks in and he goes, I would really love to look at that Mirage Silver. And I was like, oh my God. I was literally, when you walked in, I said, please don't pick the black.
Yeah, he wanted a Himalayan, yeah.
So that's how I picked the Himalayan that I have now. Yeah. It's beautiful. I love it.
Does it have a name? You name your bikes. What is its name?
It doesn't have a name yet.
Oh, okay. That's fine. It's been a whole year. It's a year-old baby.
Only Murphy has a name right now.
Oh, yeah. The Lowrider. Okay, so the other one is the Lowrider S.
Yeah, my Lowrider S does not have a name yet. Not even a clue.
If people don't know, I know that in this world, motorcycles, people sometimes are Harley and everything else. So if you're not familiar with Harleys, it's literally the biggest engine that they made at the time. I think this year they came out with a newer one.
Like 3 cubic inches more on the Lowrider ST.
Inches, yes. But it's like an 1800 cc if you want to translate it.
It is 1868, and I had to calculate that for someone one time. And they came into the shop and he's like, "How big's your bike?" And I was like, "It's a 114." He's like,
big.
"It's 114 cc's," and I was like, "No." I don't think. Here's the irony of that statement. I don't think it matters, except for when I'm as a woman being questioned about the size of my bike.
Well, you can't handle a big bike. No one has a bigger bike.
I have the biggest bike of all of the employees, I believe.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it used to be my dad's, but then he he bought it. He liked, I think he liked the idea of it more than in practice, and he's going more towards smaller bikes. He said the other day, so he bought one of the Stone Specials, and he said the V7, the Moto Guzzi V7 is his favorite bike right now, and I think that's true.
And it's a pretty awesome bike.
I totally agree.
More people should ride them.
Check out my my upcoming In the Loop on it, because I was seriously impressed. And what is that weird noise? It's just the AC. In the headphones, it sounds super weird. There's weird noise that happen when we're normally closed. but so that is true about the person who typically has a Moto Guzzi is someone who has a lot of bikes, and they're like, this bike has so much character. I joked in my video that when you say character in a Moto Guzzi video, that's the drinking game. You have to take a drink. But that's because that's the only way to describe it, and it doesn't make
We know that our YouTube ends of the spectrum are very different. Despite them, they're both very much motorcycle centered, but still opposite ends of the spectrum. Because I watch more women.
Well, I watch women too. I'm just saying I'm a male human when I make the video.
Share that inclination.
I don't make women videos. I'm not a woman.
You're not a woman?
I'm not a woman. I tried. I'm not a woman.
You've tried? This is news to me.
It's the beard. It's too obvious. Oh my God.
Anyway, as someone who hides my appearance for the most part on my YouTube channel,
you're a camera here forward.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is funny because the #1 video I have on YouTube is the one where my face shows the most.
Yeah.
Anyway, for all those just listening, I was
have
making
a theory. I think it's that you're good looking. It's the end. The end.
Okay, what was I saying? It was about.
I don't know what that one does. I'm not gonna push it. I think it was the bad one, and I didn't want to make it a bad joke.
I forget entirely what I was thinking.
Sorry. You do YouTube videos. You're talking about watching women.
I had no idea about the Moto Guzzi. It's charming.
No, I didn't say that. I said character.
Whatever. Character.
Can I angle this slightly? There we go. Perfect.
Touching my wand.
That's what they say about Moto Guzzi. It's like the one thing that everyone says, and it's just like when you talk about something the same way that other people talk about it, it just sounds boring, right? Like, oh, it has character. It's like, yeah, that's what everybody says, but I don't know what that means.
Oh yeah, I think that first of all, I don't watch the kind of videos where someone would say, sorry.
Well, how do you? No. This is important. I think this is interesting. How would you describe a V7? What's it like? What's it different about it? What's unique about it? What's fun about it? What's good about it? What's bad about it?
That's like a really hard question to answer, and the reason is
the best word we have is character, kid.
No, it's not.
Well, go for it. I'm happy to hear it.
I would not just. I mean, I wouldn't not describe it as having character.
Okay.
But I don't think that that's an accurate description because it doesn't mean anything, which I think is what you were trying to get to.
That is kind of what I'm trying to say.
Is that it doesn't describe anything concrete that's going to give anyone any amount of real information.
Yeah, this is a hard one, by the way. You know, when I first did a video on a V7, we had that V7 for months before I did a video because I'm like, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's so hard to describe. If you've never ridden a Moto Guzzi, you're probably sitting here going, what are these idiots talking about?
I wasn't ready the first time I rode a V7, a Moto Guzzi, a shaft drive, oppositional V-twin motorcycle in the twisties of Cincinnati on gravel with a route that I'd never been on before on the freeway. I was not ready.
How so? Tell me about it.
Because it is so different. You could have a lot of motorcycle experience and not be ready for a shaft drive.
Okay, that's true.
So I don't know how to explain.
What's so different about it?
I don't know how to explain this part because if you're riding a modern bike, a modern throttled, a regular bike that does not have a shaft drive, a regular chain driven motorcycle, it is immediate power.
Yeah.
Somehow, and there can't be more than 100%, but somehow shaft drive feels like more immediate power.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
I know. I talk about
so that's definitely a perception.
Yeah.
Is that if I ride and I'm not
you don't feel like there's a delay on a chain drive, but somehow there's like less of a delay.
Right.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying is that a modern motorcycle not in like rain mode or something.
Yeah.
So in the sport mode or no mode or whatever, a chain drive or belt drive motorcycle is immediate unless there's something wrong with your throttle that actually has a delay on it. So you pull the throttle, it immediately responds. There's no question. It's not saying like a vintage bike, I'll take it in consideration.
Yeah.
I'll put something into the council,
Yeah.
it's immediate.
Yeah.
Somehow a V7 or any honestly any shaft driven motorcycle is more responsive.
Yeah.
It is 110%.
I agree. Yeah, a lot of people are trying to help you out with trying to describe it. And people talk about how fast it is. So 13 second quarter mile. So that's an interesting way of describing it. Talking about, does it jump when you give it throttle? And
No, it's not a jump. I disagree. It is not a jump.
You think it's very smooth?
It is like when someone says, I guess I don't know what someone would say, but like if someone's like, you don't
Oh, maybe I know who Corey is. Maybe Corey is a Moto Guzzi guy.
I think it's the difference between your body, and I'm apparently horrible with analogies, so stick with me.
Good luck. I'll help you. I'll try to help.
Your body breathes on its own.
Yes.
And sometimes you can say, take a breath.
Yeah, it's yes.
So
Okay.
a belt drive.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
A belt drive or a chain drive is telling it, take a breath.
Okay.
Somehow, and I think that if you're a new rider, this may not apply to you, because I feel like the difference could be when you're learning how to ride a motorcycle, you are thinking, shift your foot, pull the clutch, twist the throttle, versus when you are an experienced rider, those things kind of happen more intuitively where, yes, I'm thinking, oh, what gear am I in? Or, okay, there's something happening, I'm gonna pull the clutch. But when it's a normal, I feel like I should shift, let's do it.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell yourself to do it. It just does it.
Oh, like involuntary.
Yes, it's kind of, it's not necessarily involuntary, but you're not having to
Automatic.
front of your brain say, do the thing.
Yeah.
It's just your brain's like, I'm doing it.
I don't love this metaphor, obviously, but I agree with you. I agree. It's true. It's just not, it's not the difference between automatic and manual or whatever.
I just feel like it's somehow, this is going to sound super hippy dippy.
Okay. Telepathic.
Yes, it's that your body literally doesn't have to have been involved as much for the bike to respond to it.
Interesting.
So the difference to me is if you are a new rider, which is why I wouldn't necessarily suggest a Moto Guzzi for a brand new rider.
Mm-hmm.
With exceptions, if you fall in love, I think you need to fall in love with the motorcycle. You need to have some amount
That's true about all of them,
this is
yeah.
a sexy motorcycle and I like the way it looks and you want to ride it. I'll wait for the TWSS. And
Actually,
Aaron's gone.
Aaron said he had to go. Yeah.
But, it's not necessarily that I wouldn't say Moto Guzzi is good for a new rider. What I would say is if you aren't experienced or you have any amount of hesitation, you're better off with not a shaft drive motorcycle. Unless you're like, you sit on it and you're like, the height works for me. The seat's different.
This is a big topic that I didn't necessarily need to talk about. Like basically what you're talking about is a V7 a good beginner or first bike?
First of all, the other reason why I think that it's not necessary, it's very hard to explain this. This is a way bigger
This
topic.
is like literally what I'm talking about.
This is
hard to describe. And
So
the best
Ray
word
said
I
it
have is
feels
character.
natural. I think that is almost explaining it right because it doesn't feel unnatural.
I think V7s corner exceptionally well. I think all the Moto Guzzis do. And I think
I don't agree with that, but
you
we
think
won't.
V9 maybe.
We won't body shame here.
V9 isn't really meant for that. It has big tires. That's why she's joking about body shaming. But the V85's shockingly. This one right here. Shockingly well.
Do not let the height of this motorcycle behind us.
Yeah, it's tall, but
It's
it corners,
on the center stand as well.
amazing. That's true too. And the V7, there's some puppy in there. Maybe you can see. I don't know if you can see that in there. But the
We got a big
V7
booty Judy in the
corners
background.
incredibly, and I put it down to the V, so it's V-shaped, and the bottom of the V is where all that weight would wind up settling
Mm-hmm.
down, and it's because it's so predictably just straight in line with where you're expecting that weight to be, right in line with the tires and very down low, is that you feel like, wow, it gets into a turn and it can just keep leaning because it just has the weight distribution.
So while you're riding, yes, but I guess the other side of that coin is that the orientation of the cylinders is the other reason why I wouldn't.
That's actually what Chris. I'm pointing at the chat.
Oh, I was like, what are you
Chris
pointing
Stroud
at?
is saying, and he has a Meteor, but he's saying that the orientation of the torque longitudinally as opposed to latitudinally. That's basically what you were just saying,
Yeah.
literally. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and so then the orientation of the cylinders is the other reason why I would not necessarily initially think that a Moto Guzzi would be.
Yeah, you
beginner
think
bike.
it's got to be awkward or like the weights.
It is, and the reason it is because if you aren't fully stable on your feet and you aren't ready for any
when you're
amount
sitting there,
when you're
yeah,
sitting there,
yeah.
yes, and I do feel this is across the board on any model, make, anything. orientation of cylinders, any of that, is that
Whatever your cylinder
whatever your cylinder orientation is.
That's a good one. I think you might have stumbled upon that. Like, you're welcome, whatever your cylinder orientation is. That's awesome. I love that.
Making it a shirt. Amanda, I'll be hitting me up for
Please help us design it.
is that revving, it does
Yeah.
It does
When
go
you
a different
first start
direction than you're prepared for.
If you're kind of not ready for it, it shifts aside. And I always put show.
And whenever I take someone on a test ride, if they've never ridden a Moto Guzzi, I always point out the shaft drive.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not going to whiskey throttle this, but both rolling on and off the throttle feel different than a belt or chain drive.
Yeah, somehow it's connected.
I feel like it's rolling off the throttle actually makes more sense as it being immediately not engaged.
Yeah.
And so you get a little bit more, not in a negative way, but a little more lug as you slow down and maybe are revving down to a stop. Where
you're saying like engine braking.
engine
It's
braking,
more
yeah.
dramatic.
But even in like first gear, and it's just actually slowing
I
down.
definitely think that there's no chain, there's no cush. So
It's on or it's off.
yeah, a lot of chain drive motorcycles have a cush drive, so it's literally like rubber sections in there, so that if you do have that shock one way or the other, it absorbs a little bit of that. And as far as I know, there's not really a method of that in a Moto Guzzi. So I've noticed that on the V85, so the last generation V85s wouldn't tell you what gear you're in if you pulled the clutch. And I came
Right,
into a
yeah.
turn, and I was
And my
in
lowrider
first.
does not do that. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, what?
I came into a
I
turn
like
and
that.
I thought I was in second, but I was in first. And when I let the clutch out, which I kind of always do smoothly in case something's like that happening, and the rear tire chirped because it was just suddenly
You weren't
slowing
matched
down.
for the situation.
Yeah, and I think only a shaft drive would do. Not only a shaft drive would do, but it was more dramatic on a shaft drive because it was just like, well, there's nothing here to give.
Yeah, there's no cushion. Literally, there's no cushion for that action.
Yeah.
I do feel like though, because I've talked to almost everyone who brings in their bike that they bought
I've
from
talked
us.
to everyone.
I have talked to.
I've talked to everyone.
I've talked
They
to
love it.
everyone who has bought a brand new Moto Guzzi from us that's also brought it in.
Which is
for
Corey's one of them.
service.
So thank you, Corey. I remember. That's why I thought. I was like, actually, I know Corey with a V7. Yeah. And he was talking about, when we were talking about it, he was like, oh, it does this and stuff.
Do I know this person?
Yeah, Corey has black V7. He's like the first, I think he's the first person that bought a black V7. and
You know
bought
what the
a
problem
V7.
is? I don't know anyone's name.
Well, his name's Corey. He
will recognize-
does videography stuff, and he went and took photos over by the Blue Jacket Stadium. I don't know how to. Corey, he's great.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. Anyway, but I've asked people
He
who
wrote
have,
the article.
got it. Thank you. I have to have something concrete to attach to you.
Something else. He wrote a great
He did
article
something
in a
old,
magazine,
yeah,
in a
yeah,
magazine
I
that starts something old. Which
We
is
have
our
that
tagline. And it's framed.
essentially
well, I don't know,
framed.
but it's
Yeah.
in a stand.
It's in a acrylic stand.
We appreciate it. We love that kind of stuff. We are so lucky to have that kind of stuff.
Yes. Thank you very much for that article, Corey. Yes, exactly. That's my point. Is like you could have said that
That's
story of
Corey.
like
I
I know
should've
his
just said
face
it.
and his
I
motorcycle.
should have just said it. I know.
But your name.
We joke about
Nah.
like dogs, right? When you go to the dog park, you're like, I know the dog, but I don't know the owner. What's your
I know
name?
the
I know
dog,
the dog's name.
his pedigree, and where the owner went to college, but I,
your
don't
bike,
know their
but
name.
like, who are you again?
So what I was saying is that once they bring it back for their break-in service, I usually like to ask them, do you feel anything different? Like, oh yeah, it's gotten a lot smoother. You don't have that problem with like the twins, the Royal Enfield twins,
They're very smooth.
because the slipper clutch, they're already smooth.
Yeah.
I feel like the Himalayans usually break in a little bit by their first serve. I mean, the twins do break in, but not this particular situation. So that like initial lugging that I have heard described, I don't necessarily feel it because maybe I'm just better at
What?
shifting.
That's crazy.
Anticipating despite the fact that all the YouTube comments about how I come up to a stoplight, I just have anticipated my rev matching.
We really, and I knew this was going to happen. We really got off topic. So allow me to get you a bit back on topic.
For everyone else, I'm the topic keeper.
I know. But here you can just be free. So anyway, no, don't use the buttons.
Don't use the buttons.
It's very intense, everyone. So, your beer's finished, so we couldn't wrap up. This is what I was saying. Do you have any more? Unless you wanted to open another one, but we've already gone on an hour and 20.
That's plenty.
It is, and I appreciate everyone for sticking along or coming in.
I
and
have to
going.
drive home. I own a car now.
I know it's true. 4 wheels. So anyway, I initially started this by talking about maybe things that you had gotten done, accomplished in 2022, and things that you maybe were looking forward to in 2023. Did you have any of those things that came to you while we were joking
My
around about this?
2023 goals are to be a trash panda that anticipates the apocalypse.
What's the
Eat
cup I have?
trash
Yeah,
and be free.
I have a mug that says that. I love it. Okay, that's our goal.
That is my life
my
goal.
New Year's resolution.
You know, that's been my
Eat
life
trash.
goal probably since
free.
day one.
Why did we ever deviate from the plan?
Live in a van down by the river. Do not threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, you love that style. Okay, so motorcycle goals is what I more specifically meant, but you're going to do.
Ride more. So
You're not
I
promising to do anything specifically, but it seems like the opportunity for more camping videos is going to happen.
Well, since I bought the lowrider, I've only put about 1,500 miles on it.
No, I guess because you got it kind of late in the season, but you put a lot of miles. You went immediately on a trip that was
So I bought it
900 miles.
in September, and immediately went on 1,100.
When did we go to Pittsburgh? Because you had it, but you weren't. It wasn't really outfitted for long distance. Do you remember when that was? Pittsburgh. It was still warm.
Well, I know that I went on a long trip in September.
September. So it's probably right before that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was August.
I
Because remember,
didn't-
I took to California. You took your Sportster,
Yeah.
and then we were thinking maybe you could take the lowrider, but it's not really ready.
And that one was only about 500 miles round trip.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's 3 hours.
Freeway.
And then you went down to Virginia Beach and rode around there for a lot of miles. And then those are the main trips. Well, your first trip wasn't a lowrider S, but that's really the main trip that you took. So more trips, more
Are you saying
camping.
Pittsburgh was my main trip?
No. I just meant after that was the 900 miles.
Oh
or
yeah,
so trip.
since I got the lowrider. So the lowrider was 1,100 miles round trip from Columbus to the ocean.
Corey's goal in 2022 was buy a motorcycle, ride 3K miles. Perfect.
Nice.
Mission accomplished, he said.
Honestly, is that 3,000 miles in a year is way more than average.
3,000 miles. Well, 3,000 miles is the average, but of people who already owned it going in, you know what I mean? The people who own motorcycles on average ride about 3,000 miles. So that's the average. So half the people are below
That's
that.
not enough miles.
It doesn't seem like enough. It's not one of those things you would think about. But there are a lot of people bringing that average down who never even rode their bike the whole year or whatever. Take us. Oh yeah. So that's a good one. He said take tours of in 2023. Take tours of Civil War sites. My dad, who owns the shop with us, is a big Civil War guy, and we were just talking about this the other day. But we've been to a lot of the battles. It's funny because we live in Ohio, so we're not far from many battles, right?
I have never been.
Really? Well, Gettysburg in Pennsylvania and stuff, and you can go down to Virginia.
I didn't get to go on the 8th grade trip to DC.
You'd like it, but so my favorite one is Antietam. It's the single bloodiest day of the Civil War, and more people died at Gettysburg, but Gettysburg took 3 days. And it's funny because you hear about these. I know it's the amount of people who died, but it
I
basically just
asked
shows,
you about Civil War.
it shows you how big battle. So Antietam, I highly recommend. But what's funny is I wrote a book report about it or something in school. It's about they're fighting over this bridge, and it's Admiral Burnside's, which is actually where sideburns are named. This is cool history. Corey stumbled upon something that I'm really into, or was into at least. Burnsides. So Mr.
You were
Sideburns
into,
himself. You should see the
men's
sideburns on this man.
barber.
They're gigantic. I mean, it's named after him. They're giant. They're honest. Mutton chops are nothing on this guy. So anyway, he's giant sideburns.
Don't you have a friend who's a barber? Like, shouldn't you know these?
This
Wait,
is the man,
you're right.
Admiral
Okay.
Burnside. So anyway, I might be getting his rank wrong, but I thought it was Admiral. Anyway, so they fought over this bridge, and you're like, well, this bridge must just be this epic thing. You go and you see it, and they don't use it anymore. It's not part of the road, right? So like, there's the road, and you walk through a field, and you
Because
walk.
they used to ride horses.
I know.
The living
1800s. Yes, I know this. So you go down this like creek bed valley thing, and it's like there's a bunch of there's basically a wooded area. And there's literally just the remnants of a stone bridge. The creek that it crosses cannot be 3 feet wide. I'm not exaggerating. You could walk around. It's crazy. There probably was more water at one point, like to necessitate a bridge. But I'm telling you, they just needed to get
You
equipment
couldn't go
across.
a quarter mile north and cross at the part where the riverbed is
Bridges were
dry.
important obviously during the war, but I'm telling you, it's crazy to see it in person. That's why it's so cool to go and visit these things and see Gettysburg. This really is the field where people fought, and the Antietam Bridge is crazy. It's mind blowing because you thought this bridge this is the bridge that people fought and died for by the hundreds.
I'm thinking of like Revolutionary War paintings of George Washington crossing in a canoe in this giant, like, has waves water. Like, that's important water.
Yeah.
And you've got like a little creek.
I know, it's crazy. It's honestly, and I think it's, yes, you could have gone around, but you couldn't have gotten like horses and buggies and carriages and equipment around. You couldn't have got cannons around. They needed the bridge to get like the equipment across. But nonetheless, it's a small bridge.
I actually kind of understand that part, because you couldn't just like have people lift those cast
There's no other way to
iron
do it. I mean,
cannons.
technically, I guess with enough people, but, and then Ray Stockinger says he wants to go to Mount Rushmore on the Himalayan. That would be awesome.
I think
Photos of that
Jess
would be
saw
very
Mount
cool.
Rushmore on a motorcycle.
Yeah, and we talked about maybe going to Sturgis, so that could be something.
Oh, I Googled that. It is 18 hours using the freeway.
Okay. So how many miles do
So
you
I
know?
might be looking for a
Halfway.
I was going to say companion to ride with.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Put it out there in the world and have people thinking about it. But we were just kind of planning a little bit of social media video kind of things. What could we do the next year?
I can be the throttle company Freddie Dobbs.
Yeah. And the idea of sending Nicole to Sturgis came up and was kind of fun. So, and they have a women's camp specifically.
Wild Gypsy Tour. I
sounds
kept
great. I've
wanting
seen
to call
parts
it
of
like
it.
Wildflower something, and then I realized that I overly feminized it, I think, but it is Wild Gypsy Tour.
Yeah, well, it sounds great, and it sounds like it would be a cool video, and so that's a potential goal. Did you have anything else as far as goals for 2023? A lot of people are saying Happy New Year, so bye to Corey, he's leaving, and
My
Happy
goal
New
is
Year to
just
everyone.
always to ride my motorcycle more.
Well, you like you said, only 1,500 miles, so the bars are necessarily
1,500
not
miles on the
necessarily high.
lowrider.
This is funny. People who have one motorcycle or don't have as many motorcycles or a whole shop to ride motorcycles all day at, it's hard for us to put miles on a single bike.
I always feel like when someone asks me how many miles did you put on your Himalayan, which is like almost 2,000.
I was going to say 2,000.
That's
In a year.
that bike has never left Ohio.
Yeah.
So
So you put 2,000 on that. You put 1,500 on the lowrider S. So right there's
And
3,500.
About 2,000, 2,500 on the Sportster. That one's hard for me to keep
He's
track
saying
of.
in the chat, look up the motor maids. Nicole knows about the motor maids. Actually, this is something fun.
Are we
Allow me
segueing
to
into
please-
another topic?
Allow me to please talk about this. I'm not going to get too distracted by it, but they're making a documentary right now, and we're not sure the real scale of it, but they're making a documentary right now on the Columbus Litas, which Nicole and Gina, who we talked about in the chat, and Beth had restarted in Columbus, the founders of it, and it's a women's motorcycle collective, and they're doing a documentary on it, and then we brought up the motor maids in your interview on that. So we have been talking about the motor maids, and you love that stuff.
Well, before
The history.
before I wanted to join the Litas, which I joined actually when I first started riding, and then the Columbus branch of the Litas disbanded pretty early on in me, literally like 2 weeks after I joined. So there wasn't for several years a Litas branch. Anyway, so I looked up a bunch of other organizations, and what I really wanted was something like the Litas, but I learned about things like the Motor Maids and the Chrome Divas and the
Chrome Divas, right? That's a good one.
other groups that are, it's just, this is a good segue to, there's a group for you out there.
Yeah.
Whatever your desire to be involved is, whatever your availability and commitment level is.
Yeah.
What kind of camaraderie do you want, particularly as a woman?
So what kind
and that's not something that I thought existed.
But now that you're saying that, and you're saying that Litas is right for you, what kind of a group is it as far as that goes?
The
What
Litas
kind
is
of
right for me
commitment or
because
whatever?
I am a disorganized panda, and my ability to commit to almost anything is
You're being hard on yourself.
abysmal.
But
Having enough time to do something where you have any kind of amount of,
that's the idea of the Litas. There's no minimum commitment. There's no dues. Is that right?
there's no dues, there's no bike requirement, there's no, you can join the Litas having never ridden a motorcycle before in your life.
You need an interest.
You need to be the following things: a woman or identify as a woman. And I'm sure all the branches do, but we very fiercely defend that
Yes.
particular point.
Don't be a jerk that's a guy who just says, well, what if I identify as a woman?
I will literally fight you if you say
people who
that
are
to us.
transgender and whatever, non-gendered specific. Or
If you
whatever,
honestly, if you identify as a woman or non-binary, so even if you don't necessarily identify as a woman,
if you would honestly be comfortable in a group of women,
Yes.
then you belong.
yes, then you belong. And that's it's not just you can come. This is I want you to be here. Anyway, woman or woman identifying. be over the age of 18. This is the one thing that really gets me.
The 18 thing?
18 thing.
Really? You think if
Because-
you were younger?
I feel like if you can have a motorcycle license,
Yeah.
you should be allowed to join. Because I just feel like
Why do you think they have the
Because there
18 thing?
isn't
Did you go to a
anything-
bar or whatever typically? Or?
maybe it's just the liability of a minor.
Yeah, maybe
But
that's what they're
that's
worried
my
about.
only real sticking point is because
Didn't you have that girl? Wasn't the one girl Tara? She was
With-
17 in the very beginning, and she just came with her mom.
But she always came with her mom, who was
Yeah.
also in the leaders. And
So that's not the end of the
she's her mom is taking responsibility for
Yeah.
her as a minor.
Yeah.
That's my only sticking point because I feel like as someone who couldn't find anything in high school that I really identified with other women,
Yeah.
that would be the thing is like I could be in a group with the thing that I'm because if you have a girl who's in high school who wants to ride a motorcycle, you are already separating yourself.
You're right. That's a hard road,
That's a
and
big
you
one.
need a group.
That's like a girl
Yeah.
who plays in a male-dominated sport
Yeah,
or
wrestling.
You know,
I guess wrestling now I've heard is actually very inclusive.
yes,
You were a pioneer.
my little wrestling heart is so excited about that.
Can I quickly mention that someone in the chat said if you're gonna go to Mount Rushmore, also go to Devil's Tower. So that's a recommendation for anyone who was thinking about that. I know that Rayburn Stockinger was talking about maybe going there, so that's cool.
Okay,
lead us.
So lead us. Woman identifying, over 18, interested in motorcycles.
Yeah, your bike has to be 1,800 cc's or more.
You don't even have to have a bike.
I was joking.
The way
'cause
we
you're
do-
just
the way-
talking about how big your bike is.
I have that to impress the dudes.
I have that so that the girls don't care. That's so the guys should leave me alone.
Leave me alone. So that went. So the exact phrase I've heard at a gas station when I came out was some guy standing next to my bike and said, "I was expecting a dude." I want you to think that. I want you to think that
So
this
was I.
person traveling by themselves is in fact bigger than you.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so those are the three requirements. There are no
I guess
dudes.
next time you can say, "You got one, brother." I don't know what you say. We'll work on it.
BDE.
I got that big wheel energy. We decided it's
I
different.
do have that big wheel energy. Got that big wheel energy. Okay, anyway. So yes, those are the requirements. And yeah. And what I like about the LIDAs specifically is that when you join one branch, and I don't even know if that's the right term as a founder, I have no idea if that's even the right term.
I think that's right.
Part of the collective is that you are part of the entire collective. So you're part of the Vegas Litas, the Salt Lake City Litas, which is where it's originally founded, and the Bogota,
Colombia. Okay.
Peru. You know.
Oh, they're
New
everywhere.
Zealand,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
everywhere.
No, they're big.
You're in all of those Litas as well. So if you
Oh yeah, so if you move or visit the town or whatever, you can go riding with them or meet at one of their meetups or whatever.
yes, and I can't speak for every single branch, but I can definitely speak of the spirit of everyone I've ever met in the Litas and the organization as a whole is that they're going to welcome you.
It's very
You
inclusive.
don't have to
That's the idea.
worry about worrying if you come from. You may have to, for your own personal safety, worry about the fact that if you're going to middle of nowhere Alabama and there is a small town one, but the likelihood that someone is more willing to be part of the Litas with this very strong organizational everyone is welcome regardless of identifying as a woman type thing.
Cylinder orientation. That's what he brought it back. It was a callback. But I feel like regardless of cylinder orientation.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
what you're saying.
Exactly.
I like it.
Thanks, Ray. Now
It's a good
Look,
word to use.
I can't say the other catchphrase for the other shirt that we want to make because I don't want anyone to take it.
Don't take it. It's a proprietary information.
proprietary.
Anyway, so we're coming up on the end. We've probably technically passed it. So I really appreciate everyone following along. We at Throttle Company, you and I specifically, it cannot be expressed how much we appreciate the people watching and the fact that people are tuning into this chat, us just sitting here being silly after work.
We didn't make any notes about what to talk about.
Obviously. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Is that I mean this seriously. It cannot be expressed enough. We are so lucky to have started a business and have people tuning in from all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
to
I'm
help
going to
us out
interrupt you
with
just
things.
because Gina brought
said
up
something.
that a member of the Dayton Litas came and visited the shop today.
Oh, that's true.
That's exactly the thing is that while we do say the Dayton Litas, it's
You're
another
one of the
Lita.
Litas, yeah.
It's just like, hey, how's it going? We appreciate you. You're welcome here. There's no
Yep.
weirdness.
And that's our thing at Throttle Company as well. Is we hate the bravado and the gatekeeper attitudes of other shops. We're very welcoming. We're very inclusive.
We have an entire Harley motorcycle club that shows up to our bike nights in the summer.
Yeah, and we have all.
And they're
all
so
kinds of people there.
stoked to see all the other bikes.
We want all motorcycles are welcome regardless of cylinder orientation. And we'll see you. We're going to do more of these. Someone asked about In the Loop. The next In the Loop, I hope, is Tuesday, but it will be very soon. If not Tuesday, it'll be probably the next Tuesday. I'm trying to do a regular Tuesday
You
thing.
should tell your friends to subscribe, because here's the thing. We are not necessarily, well, now you are scheduling videos.
I'm trying to schedule the In the Loop out further.
I personally am not consistent with any amount of content.
But that's your plan. We're talking about 2023 plans, and that's at least the plan. Whether it happens or not or falls apart next week, who knows? But that is the plan as of now. And we're going to do more of these, we hope. Quittin times. And
it's Quittin time. We're working on the theme song.
we've got a theme song. We just need to record it.
Also, please let us know what you thought about the intro if you saw it.
Oh, I thought it was great. And I forgot I had music, and then we were like, oh, let's get some.
I'm learning the guitar, not the banjo, but it should be transferred.
So thank you so much for the year 2022, and in the future in 2023. But thank you so much to all our people who are a part of our community, because that's why we do it. That's it. That is it. That's why we have this business. It is absolutely not to make money, because if that was the case, this is not what I would do. It's the community. It's the people. It's we love.
Are you saying
much.
we should have a private Awkward Fans? Is that where we're going to make $1,000 a month?
You and me telling everybody how much we love them. Oh, you mean to make money? Yeah. But again, I'm trying to wrap it up and say Nicole finished her beer. So
a while ago.
Yeah, I know. So we're saying thank yous and goodbyes and everything like that. So thanks for tuning in. We'll hopefully let you know with a little bit more notice when the next Quittin time is happening. Thank you so much for joining along with us.
It'll just be 5 minutes before next time.
You get zero notice. That's what you deal with. Thank you.
Welcome to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us, for joining me. You're a guest on your own thing. She loves the buttons, everyone.
I hate the buttons, for the record.
Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.